And I don't, it's really interesting because kids usually in high school that are getting ready to leave are either locked into a world that doesn't exist.
Yes.
Or they're prone to go into college because everybody says that's where they've got to go. And it was so interesting because the crowd that we had started out very quiet. Very, very quiet, kind of timid, back, withdrawn. And the mothers of a couple of them were there. Kris got up and started talking about different aspects of copywriting, of being an author, and things of this nature. And to watch the way that she connected with their minds and how it just opened the door, all of a sudden they came alive, started asking questions. And I will bet at least 2 to 3 of those, and one gal I still talk to once in a great while, were really affected by the fact that she connected. She connected as an individual on not a teacher type basis, but as a friend, as somebody that's there to educate. Her movements were great, and the kids absorbed the knowledge because she talked to them on a level that they could understand.
Thank you. That's one of the most basic forms of communication, is talk to people where they are. Otherwise you come across like a professor. Candace does it beautifully. Otherwise you come across like a professor and you make people feel like less than they are. There's a term in copywriting where if somebody's writing up here at a professor level, this is a horrible term. I hate this term, but they say it to me. Somebody's up there, you got to dumb it down. In my opinion, there are no dumb people. There are people with less education, with less whatever. They're some of the smartest, most incredible people you have ever met. But what that essentially means is don't use the $10 word when a $2 word will work. When you're in sales, don't say purchase now. Buy. Get yours now. Make it relational. Make everything you do as relational as you can. When you do that, you connect. And when you don't, it's like a commercial. It's like a really bad commercial.
I got 2 questions for you, Kris.
Yes.
One, when you say I'm a copywriter, you more than copywriter. Because when you say I'm a copywriter, it don't mean nothing to many people. Copywriter for a lot of people, you're way over there. Nobody want to talk to you. You're so smart. Nobody want to touch, writing little stuff.
Right.
But when you start to express yourself, start to talk, you're more than a teacher. So you talk open, and the enthusiasm and people really approach that easier than the word copywriter.
Yes.
It's just like I said, hey, I'm a killer. Oh, let's start from
I've almost
until you find out, it's not a killer. It just is, she's a nurse.
Yes.
She's a healer.
Yeah.
Something like that.
The term copywriter is a technical term, which means I write copy that convinces people to buy stuff. The only thing is you have to kind of say that because people who know what they're listening for, that's what they want. Because there are writers, features writers.
Yes.
There are people who write pleasantly and properly, but there aren't people who write powerfully or to convince. So copywriter is basically there to show your passion for what you do and get other people to get drunk on your cork so that they want to do work with you. It's very different from every other kind of writing. A really good writer can't necessarily be a good copywriter unless they
So what I might say, when you say I'm a copywriter, don't leave a second, back it up quickly. Open
with what that is.
Yes.
Yes.
Open it because
I say I write copy for websites.
Yes. So now start
flyers. And my little kicker is I weave words into wealth by turning your browsers into buyers.
Yes. And then last question, because I got 2 of them.
Okay.
Last one.
I love it.
Page 2.
It does. When you say like when you talk to someone, you say make sure you show the person you are speaking with. We feel value and valuable. I can explain that. But it's easy just to say.
Explain that?
Yeah, I know that, but sometimes I already like to learn new stuff, maybe new approach, like, how can I make that person feel valued? My way might be staying, but
Treat
I'm
them with
open
respect.
for different
Yes.
angle.
Value and valuable is what you have to say is very important to me. Valuable is what you have to say is very important to me. And value, I think the follow-up thing, people want to be celebrated, not tolerated.
Yes.
They want to feel like they're exchanging a part of their life for their time with you. They don't want to feel like it's nothing, that, we spent some time together and there we go. So you want to make them feel valued. I really appreciate the time. I've sacrificed, this is from my perspective. I mean, this is the only way to explain it. I sacrificed this time with you because you're that valuable to me, okay? I could have used it 100 other ways, but you are my priority here. There was a gentleman at, I used to work in the entertainment industry in Hollywood, and there was a gentleman at Paramount named A.C. Lyles who was there for like some 70 years. That man made you feel like you were the most important being on earth when you were in his office. I was in there one time, and during the time we were there, Buddy Ebsen and Kevin Costner called. And his secretary rang in and said, Buddy Ebsen's on the line, Kevin Costner. He says, nope, I'll get him later, this is more important. And I was like, Buddy Ebsen was like 87 at the time, and I'm going, Buddy Ebsen might not be there to call back. He says, he'll be there.
Yes.
And then I had someone, and then one time he said to me, he said to somebody, no, can't talk to you now. I have the most beautiful woman in my office right now. And I turned around thinking, Elvis Taylor had walked in. He was talking about me. And he was like that, not with me, but with everybody. He made you feel so valued and so valuable. That's one of the reasons I hate call waiting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or people getting on their phone when I'm with you, when they're with me, because it's like, my time is valuable too. And I know it happens, and I know it has to happen if you're a doctor, a lawyer, people whose lives you're holding in their hand. But I don't have call waiting, because to me it's like, if it's that important, they'll call back.
Yeah.
The person I'm with right now obviously needs me, or they wouldn't have called. So that's what I mean by making sure somebody feels valued and valuable. Does that do it?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
On the issue of dumbing down, I do writing, working in it anyway. But I had a challenge because I was raised in the 50s and 60s and educated in the 50s and 60s. And it's not so much dumbing down to the language progressing to a much more colloquial level.
It
and
is.
what they used to teach us you never do in writing.
Absolutely.
Now you always do in writing.
Absolutely.
And so I'm kind of a schizophrenic writer.
Uh-huh.
Write 3 sentences in wonderful colloquial language and then drop into this, drop a $50 word. That just is like second nature to me. I mean, I'm not even where I'm doing it.
That's what I was
Very
doing until I...
challenging to be consistent on that level. I don't even know how to do it, actually.
That's what I was doing in college too, and I had the most valuable piece of writing information I got was, you have a fabulous vocabulary. I don't know anybody has a vocabulary like yours.
Yeah.
But unless you're writing to professors or college-educated people, you're missing half of your audience,
Yeah.
So the whole idea is to remember who is your target audience. If they're college professors, go for it,
Right.
But if you're trying to convince somebody to buy your product or service, and you know that part of your target audience might be immigrants, people who are operating from a second language, people who don't have the education that you have, anytime you throw up a word that they're going to have to go after a dictionary for, you're going to lose them, especially if you put in 3 or 4 or 5 of those words.
Yeah.
So either if you feel that it's one of those words, replace it if you can. Mark Twain said there's the difference in a word and exactly the right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bulb. We know that as people with good vocabularies. But if it misses the point and doesn't make the communication, you've missed it anyway.
Right.
You might as well not have said it. So the whole idea is to try to make it as understandable. They say try to write when you're writing for the public at a 6th grade level or higher, 5th or 6th grade level, because otherwise you're missing people who you can help, who you can bless with what it is you do. And why would you do that? The whole idea is to, and I get it, There are times I will use a word, I'll almost always try to use it in the context of a sentence that they couldn't fail to understand what it meant. My sister, who is not a reader, she says, I love reading your books because they feel very conversational and across the table, and when I come across a word that I'm not familiar with, the way you use it in the sentence makes me know what it means. Now, I don't know how that happens or what that is, but that's, you know, don't stress big time over it, but try to find the I hate the term dumbing down because I hate it. Because we're not talking to dumb people. I don't care what educational level you've had or anything else. We're talking to people with just as good a brains as we have. Yeah.
Changing styles.
Yeah.
General, French general, Napoleon Bonaparte, he was doing the same way too. Before they go to war, he asked the general, French general, to write an order. After he finished writing the order, he sent the order to the lowest enlisted to read it.
To see if they understand
If they don't understand, they send back, rewrite. Send back, rewrite, until the little guy understand, no little guy, because that time was a guy too, but the enlisted understand, then the order will get signed and move forward.
When I was at Warner Brothers, they wanted me to rewrite a Netscape manual. I'm not an IT technician, but this manual is going to be for secretaries. And I'm like, unless you explain it to me to where I can understand it so I can explain it further down, we're going to have problems here. But they were able to do that. And so you know, that's kind of maybe what you have to do is explain it down, you know, and then, but yeah, it's a pickle, because when you have a good vocabulary and you know that's the right word, you just hate to.
It is, yeah.
You hate to, it almost feels like prostituting the language for something. I mean, if you love words, as I do, but as a copywriter, I've learned to do it the last 8 or 10 years, and I realize how stinking valuable that is. Because if you're not communicating, you might as well not have written the thing, you know. So.
Like the kids here, our time when you ask me, say, how was it? Oh, it was great. They look at me like, what's wrong with you? And you ask them, how was it? Awesome. That word awesome, just like that.
Yes.
That's a different generation.
Yes.
Yes.
They use that for everything. So now you want to know I'm with them, so it was awesome. Okay.
Universal language, awesome.
Awesome. Great.
Kris, knowing that words tell a story, and as business people, they invest in their marketing material, and I don't know if you can give us an example or anything like that, but I know that there's an ROI that's very tangible versus putting your own stuff up or putting it in print, you know, versus having something that's compelling and moving and allowing that end user to just press that button, say yes. Do you have any figures on, I mean, because I know that your work is profound and I know you know what you're doing, so.
I know that there's a profound difference between writing properly and pleasantly and writing powerfully, and it actually comes out in dollars in your pocket and up in your pocket. Could I tell you what that ROI is? It would be different for each piece.
Sure.
You know, but a few pointers on if you're writing your own copy is make it clear, concise, and compelling. Make the words active and present tense. Don't make them passive. Tell a story. If you have a really compelling story, tell the story. Because again, people will remember a story more than they'll remember facts and figures. If you can tell a story that basically throws a spotlight on your business, then either huge success story, case studies, or anything like that. But be sure they aren't just like generic, boring, you know, case studies. Make sure they feel like you're sitting in the room while this thing takes place. Well, you know, take them along by the hand. In fiction writing, you can have, they went to the park. He took her hand. Okay, now we're in the past tense. The story's been written, the person really doesn't give a rip particular, they might. But if you say, They walk to the park. He takes her hand. The story's not written yet. I mean, we're there right with them. You don't know what the next step is going to be because it hasn't been written yet. So if you can keep it in the active present tense as much as possible, make sure the words are powerful, like they're muscled. Instead of saying something was very beautiful, take out very and find another term that means stunning, you know. Use powerful words that don't require any adverbs or adjectives, just, you know. Yeah, it's an art, it's a craft, it's a bit of science, it's voodoo, it's magic. It can be magic when it's done right, because the person can't not read on. With copywriting, you have anywhere from 3 to 8 seconds to rivet somebody in place. I mean, after all, they know they're being sold to. You better make it good. You better make it so